Now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome back to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. Thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking Fire Prevention Week, and my guest in studio today is new Sedona Fire Chief Jon Trautwein. Jon, thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, Philip. This is great to be here.
This is your first Countywide ever, which is exciting because you're the new Fire Chief of the Sedona Fire District. Great to have you here. How have you been enjoying Sedona so far?
Oh, we love it. My wife and I love it. Great community, great people, just very positive environment. It's beautiful, too. Especially this time of year. It's cooling off a little. We're really liking it.
So let's start from the top. Where are you from? Well, let's go right from the beginning. It's the origins of Chief Trautwein.
Okay, well, that is the beginning, right? I was born and raised in Upland, California. So really, I've spent my whole life in Southern California. And so this is my first experience moving out of California, living in a different state. But I would say this is a really great place to be and live.
Yeah, we're both from California. Obviously, I'm from a little bit further down south of Southern California, but it's a nice change. It's a lot more rural out here. There's more stuff to look at. It's a lot prettier at night. You don't get all that city, sort of haze or any of that city smoke or, all that noise. It's kind of quaint if I were to really kind of narrow it down to a word up here for Cottonwood for me and Sedona for you. How did you start your career in firefighting?
Sure. So I started, I did about 27 years there in Pasadena, California. So my first couple of years I started as an auxiliary firefighter, which is a program we had there at the time. It's a volunteer program. So I'd work one 24-hour shift a week and get training, learn the ropes. Yeah. And then from that volunteer position, I had the opportunity to get hired. So, and then I spent, like I said, about 27 years total and just worked my way up the ranks. Took opportunities as they came and just learned to be a good firefighter.
One 24-hour shift a week? How'd you stay awake?
Yeah. Oh, well, you do. Sometimes you might not go out at night, and sometimes you do. So you just kind of get used to it. It is funny you ask that because most fire agencies, we work a 24 or 48 hours at a time.
Right.
And I think it's good for getting your crew there and working, but when you're at a busy station, you go out at night, you just have to get used to it. But you did, I remember as an auxiliary firefighter, I couldn't sleep at the station because I was waiting for a call. You get kind of used to that, and then you learn how to sleep, and when a call comes, you go handle it and then come back to bed.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've worked a couple graveyard shifts. Nothing like that, but it's definitely. I would have a tough time working an entire shift for an entire day or even 2 days. But that's probably why I'm not a fireman. Why people like you are. You get a little bit more strong-willed than I am.
Right.
What led you to Sedona? You coming from Pasadena? You're coming from Upland, California, Southern California. You go a little bit more northern up Arizona into Sedona. What led you to that transition?
Well. I kind of hit benchmarks that I really wanted to in my career as a firefighter there in California and had a lot of incredible opportunities. So just looking for another opportunity, another experience. And this particular position, I had a retired colleague, a retired fire chief, who encouraged me to take the job, or at least apply, right? And a couple other current colleagues that said, hey, you should apply. This looks like a good position. So when I did apply and then started to do my research and look at the area and the community and the people, and the environment and all the amenities and what the fire district was doing here, I was like, wow, this is a tremendous opportunity. So I think seeing that tremendous opportunity and the challenges with it, it just excited me to go for it.
How have you been settling in with the new fire district so far? I know you started in September. I beat you by a month. I got here in August. But
all right.
how has your transition within the fire station itself been?
Well, really good. We cover quite a wide area. Not just the city of Sedona, but we cover the village of Oak Creek, and also Oak Creek Canyon up going towards Flagstaff. and we're 2 counties come into our fire district. So I've really spent my time in our 5 stations, touring the stations, looking at the apparatus and equipment, and then between the 3 shifts of firefighters, going and visiting the crews and getting to know them and finding out what's going on, working with my administrative staff. So it's been a lot of learning, a lot of orientation. And then I have been driving around the district. I think our footprint is about 168 square miles for our fire district. And then we also provide emergency medical services up to 274 square miles. So in that footprint, I've been driving out, looking at the district, kind of getting a feel for what we're doing. So we have a great fire district, great firefighters. My staff has just been so supportive and positive and very professional. So that's made the transition kind of easy, to be honest. I have great workers.
No, that's great. And I have we talk to Sedona Fire, all the fire stations on a daily basis, definitely a weekly basis, and Sedona Fire has always been very helpful with us, and they help us a lot out, a lot, and you coming in now is great. And so my next question would be: is there anything from the Pasadena Fire that you've kind of tried to sort of maybe bring into your new role here at Sedona Fire? Anything that they did over there that you would like to, sort of transition into now with your new role?
Well, it's a little early, but there were several areas and disciplines that I have a lot of experience in that we do a very good job here. One is the wildland. California, we get a lot of wildland deployments and fire, so I've had quite a background in deploying on those and the training and education that comes with that. Also, I've been a paramedic for 20 years.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'll carry those credentials into Arizona because of my different job assignment, but so really good background in trying pilot programs and equipment and providing that best, service you can out in the field with emergency medical services. The other thing is I spent a good 15 years on our technical rescue team, and we have some very highly trained technical rescue firefighters because of all our canyons and all the backcountry rescues that we get here. So, the wildland, the EMS, the technical rescue, I kind of have some background and training experience in. So that was fun for me to come here and see that our firefighters are strong in those areas, and then just see how I can enhance that and improve that if there's need. And again, I got sucked into that because we do a great job with that here. But those are things, I think, several of the challenges we have here that we'll continue to develop our firefighters, and we're handling it.
So on Tuesday, you guys had an open house.
Yes.
It was the first time you get to meet the Sedona public, all the great residents of Sedona. How did it go for you? Was it as great as you wanted it to turn out?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it was a great time, and we had a good turnout. And our staff there at Station 3, and then our administrative staff did an excellent job of getting all the logistics together. We had a pancake breakfast, of course.
Blueberry pancakes, I heard.
Blueberry pancakes.
That's the way to go.
Supposedly the best in Sedona Fire District, so I don't know. I gotta get out there and try some more pancakes. But no, they were great. Did a great job. It was fun.
That's good.
Really fun.
National Fire Prevention Week starts this week, and when we come back on the other side of this break, Chief Trautwein's going to give us some tips on how to prevent a fire starting in your house for this fall season. When we come back, right here.
Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging uses a state-of-the-art medical digital camera to take a picture and create a map of the body's infrared patterns, later interpreted by an MD specially trained in reading thermography. Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging is the leading medical imaging and proactive healthcare, detecting early danger signs years before other tools, finding early breast disease up to 8 years before mammography may detect it. Schedule a scan with Carol today. Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging. Say yes to thermography.
From inspiration to installation.
If you need help with your decorating plan, call the pros at the Picture Window. We are your #1 source for top quality blinds, shades, shutters, and flooring. We've been in business here for 41 years, and our delightful sales staff has decades of experience. We're the locally awarded Best of the Best in both Sedona and the Verde Valley.
Don't pass up a free estimate on your project. Call the picture window now.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. My guest in studio today is new Sedona Fire Chief Jon Trautwein, and we got a chance to sort of get to know Jon Trautwein in our first segment. And now let's get into National Fire Prevention Week, which started on Monday and runs through the 12th. That's Sunday. So, Jon, we had Rick Chasen earlier to talk about more of the, making sure that your wood stove is good, more of the fire heating elements, but maybe not the household stuff. So what are some tips that people should sort of focus on for this Fire Prevention Week and in general as we're getting into the cooler weather, just to make sure that they don't start a fire at home?
Sure. And just taking one step back, the theme is how to plan and practice your escape. So the fact is, we do get quite a few residential structure fires across the country every year, and we have a significant life loss and injury there to our public. So that's kind of why it is an important theme. Once that fire starts, obviously, you need to know how to escape quickly. It really is better to prevent it before it starts, and we'll get to that. But, some of the things we want to just reiterate is having a working smoke detector, in your sleeping areas, your hallways. That smoke detector, when it detects that smoke, gives you that early warning.
Right.
With our modern residential fires and the materials that are in those fires with the plastics and the rubbers and, carpet, that kind of material can burn super hot and fast. So the smoke detector goes off and you have your plan. So part of that plan, again, is whatever room you are in the house or in your apartment or wherever you live, having 2 ways out. And typically that's a door, right? Every room has a door. It might have 2 doors, but the other escape route might be a window.
Right.
So you walk through your house, make sure the smoke detectors work. You walk through your house, make sure you have 2 ways out of each room. And then another key thing we like to emphasize is once you've escaped, have a meeting place. So that could be the big oak tree out in the front. That could be the stop sign right there at the corner of your house. And that's important because then your family and whoever you live with, you can inventory, hey, we're here, we're okay. Oftentimes, if you don't have that and maybe somebody goes the opposite way, residents tend to, I'm going to go back in and find my loved one.
Right. But
they don't know they're already out. So those are just a few tips on the plan and practice your escape, which is the theme this week. But so in terms of preventing fires in your house, interestingly enough, one of the highest cause of fire in a residence is cooking.
Yeah. Well, I would assume so. I mean, I do a lot of cooking at home. I have an electric stove. I know maybe some people have the gas stoves, and always got to be careful, especially with grease fires. I know the grease fires are a big fire starter, especially once they get going, they don't stop. And so that's great. That's a good transition to my next question then is, how do you stop a grease fire? Because I've heard definitely don't put water on it. I know that's kind of the number one. But I've also heard maybe baking soda or something like that to put it out. What is the proper 2019 way to put out a grease fire?
Well, the physics of it is it's more like a flammable liquid fire. So, which is vapors coming off that liquid that are on fire. So that's why we discourage you of putting water on it. Of course, we're going to pull a hose line in your house and use water, but it's a lot of water. Right. It's not like a cup, or a bowl. So the best way is have that lid available for that pan and just drop the lid on it so it smothers it, and it'll stop the combustion. That's really the best way. And, you know, really being preventative while you cook, just monitor your cooking. You know, make sure you're very attentive. Make sure you don't overcook. Make sure you don't put a pan on the stove that you're cooking and you go, oh, I got to run to the store and get some more milk or whatever, and then you leave it unattended. So, you know, be mindful of your cooking, attend your cooking, you know, and then you have your appliances in good working order, you know, and that might be maintenance, you know, or if it's time to replace it, it's time to replace it.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I would assume all that transitions as well to baking. You know, if you leave something in the oven for a little while and you leave to go, if you're gonna leave, don't leave for a very long time, or maybe don't even leave at all. You know, I had an experience. I went to school at GCU and I was making cookies and I used wax paper instead of parchment paper, and wax paper tends to catch on fire. So thankfully, all it did was smoke. I caught it quickly, but you know, stuff like that. Obviously, just maybe some of the lesser things you don't think about. You know, and that's when fires start. How important is it to have a fire extinguisher in your house?
I think that's a good part of your plan on fire safety in your house. So, you know, if you can eliminate your cooking fires, right, that can lower the potential for you to have a fire. But obviously, there's many different ways a fire could start in your house, in your home. So having that fire extinguisher available, and then looking at the instructions, learning how to use it properly, right? But then also, you know, learning the judgment on, well, most fire extinguishers are for fires that are small. We call it incipient fires, fires that just started. So the beauty of it is if you take that fire extinguisher, use it properly, and put the fire out while it's small, it really eliminates the problem. And we may come there and get a little smoke out of your house and help you clean up, but it really lowers the damage. So now, what we don't want though is that you come into the house and the fire's larger and the extinguisher is not going to be effective. That's where you just need to get out and wait for us.
Right.
So that's a great tool, and you know, that's a great tool for every household to have.
You know, we're both from California, so earthquakes are obviously sort of the big fear that everybody has, is the big one is going to come. And I remember as a kid, and even as through into my adulthood, everybody kind of pounded into my head of having an earthquake kit. Is there a form of that for your evacuation plan when there's a fire indoors?
Sure. Yes, actually there is. And a lot of things, we might not have as much of an earthquake threat here in Arizona.
I hope so.
Although we hope, right? But one of the other threats is a wildland threat, which we do have, you know, in Arizona, like similar to California. But we encourage to have what we call more a go bag, right? When you see these events starting to mature and come to your area, and that bag would have, you know, some basic needs: food, water, change of clothes, medications, maybe credit cards, a little cash. So that's something you can, if it's together in one place, you can pick it up and walk out the door. Now, when we talk about residential fires, we don't typically talk about go bags. It's more we want you to prevent it and have good working smoke detectors and know how to get out of your house, because that's a little different. The threat could potentially be there every day. So to have a go bag, you know, although again, some people, you know, you can't forget about your medications. If you have to be out of your house for 3, you know, days to a week, 3 to 7 days, because of a wildland fire threat coming, you can get that go bag going.
We're going to take a break real quick, John. When we come back, we'll talk more fire prevention right here on Countywide. Don't go anywhere.
Awesome.
Solid Rock Fitness is a one-on-one fitness studio specializing in fitness over 50. I train older adults of all fitness levels, from athletes and avid sports participants to folks with chronic pain to those recovering from surgeries. You and I will focus on strength training to improve overall muscle tone, core conditioning, balance, agility, flexibility, and nutrition. Mastery of these components of fitness will help you live your life to the fullest with confidence and competence.
Paul Stanley here with Stanley Steel Structures. We offer shade structures that provide style, value, and performance. Our Equinox louvered roof opens and closes to give you the ultimate patio experience. We also offer Alumawood shade covers that looks like wood but lasts like steel and never needs painting or maintenance. Visit us at StanleySteelStructures.com. Contact us today and be covered tomorrow. Stanley Steel Structures. Let us add some space to your place.
Fabulous views and unmatched quality with efficiency in mind. Just announced, C&B Construction is the only contractor ever to win the EPA's coveted Indoor Air Plus Leaders Award 4 years in a row. These Energy Star certified homes provide unparalleled energy efficiency, comfort, durability, and indoor air quality. C&B Construction is currently building at Gray Fox Ridge and Crossroads at Mingus. C&B Construction, locally respected and nationally recognized.
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Colbert, filling in for Smokey because after 75 years of...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Turns out there's much more to say. Nearly 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans being careless, dumping our used barbecue coals willy-nilly. Guess the song was wrong. We did start the fire. That's why I respect Mother Nature and her trees, whether coniferous or new car scented. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Philip Catalfamo. My guest in studio today is Sedona Fire Chief Jon Trautwein. We were talking Fire Prevention Week, and we're going to continue that conversation here. We talked about, well, first of all, we talked about your origins, Jon. Jon is the new fire chief here in Sedona, and we transitioned to more of the, the fire prevention stuff, making sure that if you are cooking, that you don't walk away from the stove. If you start a grease fire, smother it. Don't put water on it. I know the national slogan this year is not every hero wears a cape, plan and practice your escape, having an escape plan, having a meeting place. So what are some of the more, the first thing that pops up in my mind of some of the more smaller things that could start a fire is a dryer. Now, cleaning the lint filter, one is just clean it because it's disgusting to just leave all that lint there. But also, that lint could catch fire, and household fires can start with a dryer, and I would say maybe more of those kind of things, some of the things that people maybe don't think about, because it's just so mundane and just so under the radar almost. What are some of those sort of lint topics that people can do to prevent a fire from starting in their house? Yeah, and a dryer fire is another common fire in a house, so you definitely want to clean the lint screen and clean the lint from out under and around the dryer every so often. Every few months you could take a look at it, depending upon how often you use it and the buildup is there. So, and again, you also, when you run your dryer, run it while you're home too. Right. Because then you might see the smoke and be able to prevent a fire because you detected it. So instead of, load it up and then take off, sometimes it's better to be around the house when you're running your dryer loads. Now, but again, it comes back to just maintaining, keeping it lint free. And most of the modern dryers are constructed very well, and they have their lint screens. You just got to make sure that you follow the manufacturer's guidelines and keep that appliance lint free. Yeah, it's almost like your cooking appliances, making sure that they're newer and that if they're not working, that you get them fixed. A lot of kids are going back to college. I just got done with college, so I don't have to go back now, thankfully. But a lot of kids are starting college. How about in a college dorm? I mean, I've had several early mornings where a smoke alarm has gone off, smoke detector's gone off. What are some of the things that kids can do to prevent fires in the college dorm? Yeah, and that's that's a really good question, because we do get dorm fires across the United States every year, and some of them can be very significant. So most college universities are going to have rules. Right. A lot of those dorms, they don't allow cooking type of appliances, toaster ovens and all that. You really need to honor those, because that's, again, a potential to start a fire. Any kind of open flame, candles, you need to be very careful of. Right. Sometimes around the holidays, people put candles up, or you put them up in your dorm because it's neat and fun. But Halloween time, throw a couple candles up. That's it. So you get that candle too close to the combustibles, or it's unattended, it could start a fire. So, in that dorm life too, I mean, you can make sure your exits are carefully identified from your room. Make sure that you know where the closest fire extinguisher is. So if there is a fire, you can use it quickly on a small fire. And then also another tip I like is know where the fire alarm
devices that you can pull the alarm, and it does a local alarm so everyone else can hear. Oftentimes, most of us have cell phones, and that's where we call 911, but nowhere to pull that alarm so everyone can get out.
Not every hero wears a cape. Plan and practice your escape is the theme for this year's Fire Prevention Week, which started on Monday and runs all through this week. I want to thank my guest, Jon Trautwein. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Philip.
And in the words of Paul David, I've been Philip Catalfamo. We'll see you next time.